My girlfriend told me she needed a self-discovery trip with her ex for weeks. I said, sounds great. Then I moved out while she was gone and left a note. I discovered myself too. Her frantic voicemail started before she even boarded the return flight. I, Everest 29, was sitting on my leather couch binge-watching The Office when my girlfriend Sophia 27 dropped the nuclear bomb. She walked in from the bedroom, planted herself directly in front of my 65-inch Samsung, and announced, I need to tell you something important. The way she said it, all serious and dramatic like she was about to confess to murder, I thought someone had died. Maybe her grandmother finally succumbed to that hip surgery, or her boss had fired her from the yoga studio. I'm going on a self-discovery trip with Blake. Blake. Her ex from USC, the guy whose shirtless hiking photos still decorated her Instagram feed, the one who really understood her spiritual journey, or whatever new age nonsense she spouted these days. I paused Jim Halpert mid-smirk and set down my Budweiser. When? Next week. We're going to this retreat center in Sedona. It's 2 weeks of meditation, crystal healing, and finding our authentic selves. I nodded slowly, processing. Just the two of you? Don't make this weird, okay? Sophia twisted her moonstone ring, a gift from guess who? It's not about him. We're just friends now and he's going through his own spiritual crisis. We got a group discount. A group discount. For 2 people. The math wasn't mathing, but I kept my expression neutral. Look, she continued, her voice taking on that patronizing tone she used when explaining why Mercury being in retrograde meant she couldn't do dishes. I know how this sounds, but you need to trust me. This is about my journey. Blake just happens to be walking a parallel path. I took a long sip of my beer, buying time. Sounds great. She blinked hard like I just told her the earth was flat. Really? Yeah. When do you leave? Tuesday morning. She studied my face like she was reading tea leaves. You're really okay with this? Sophia, if you need to find yourself, who am I to stop you? She looked suspicious for exactly 3 seconds before her face broke into this radiant smile, the same one she'd given me when I agreed to attend her friend's chakra balancing workshop. She kissed my forehead like I was a golden retriever who'd mastered sitting on command. This is why I love you, Everest. You're so evolved. Evolved. Right. The next 3 days were a masterclass in spiritual preparation. Sophia packed enough sage bundles to cleanse a small city, bought $400 worth of new Lululemon gear, and talked nonstop about opening her heart chakra and releasing toxic masculine energy. I smiled, nodded, and even drove her to LAX Tuesday morning in my Ford F-150. 2 weeks will fly by, she said, giving me a quick peck before grabbing her oversized hemp duffel bag. I'll have limited cell service at the retreat, so don't worry if I don't text much. No problem. Have fun finding yourself. The second her Delta flight disappeared into the California sky, I drove straight to U-Haul on Ventura Boulevard. See, here's what Sophia didn't know, and what I discovered about myself in those first 24 hours after her departure. I'm not as evolved as she thought. I'm methodical, strategic, and apparently I don't enjoy being played for a fool. Her name wasn't on the lease of our Sherman Oaks apartment. She'd moved in 8 months ago with 2 suitcases and a dream catcher, promising to handle the paperwork later. Later never came. The utilities, all in my name. The furniture, 80% mine, including that expensive West Elm sectional she loved to meditate on. Even her precious succulent collection that she claimed connected her to Mother Earth? I'd bought every last jade plant and snake plant during weekend trips to Home Depot. I'd already found a new place the day after her announcement. A sleek 1-bedroom in Studio City with a killer view of the Hollywood Hills. Signed the lease Monday while she was getting her aura photographed at some overpriced wellness center in Venice. The move took exactly 2 days. I was surgical about it, like a Navy SEAL executing a covert operation. I took only what was mine, which turned out to be almost everything. Her stuff, the dream catchers, the crystal collection that looked suspiciously like expensive rocks, her extensive library of self-help books with titles like Awakening Your Inner Goddess and The Tao of Not Giving a Damn, I organized neatly in the living room. I even left the electricity and water on. I'm not a monster. The note I left was poetry in its simplicity. Sophia, went on my own journey of self-discovery. Turns out I discovered I deserve better. Your stuff is in the living room. Lease ends in 3 weeks. Talk to the landlord. He's expecting you to either sign a new one or move out. I found myself, and myself doesn't include you. Good luck with your chakras. Everest. Then I blocked her number, changed my Netflix password to Find Your Own Netflix 2024, and settled into my new apartment with a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. My buddy Jake, who still lived in the Sherman Oaks building, became my eyes and ears. Wednesday afternoon he texted, "Dude, your ex just pulled up with a U-Haul and some hippie-looking guy. She's losing her absolute mind in the parking lot." I poured myself a whiskey and waited for the show to begin. Thursday morning brought the first email. I'd forgotten to block her Gmail. "What the hell is this? I came back early because the retreat was awful and you're gone. This isn't funny anymore. Where are you?" She came back early. After 5 days of self-discovery in Sedona, she'd apparently discovered that spiritual enlightenment wasn't all sunrise yoga and meaningful glances with her ex. The emails kept coming like a digital avalanche. "The landlord says I need to sign a lease. I can't afford this place alone. This is manipulation. You're trying to control me with money. Blake thinks you're being emotionally abusive." Oh, Blake had opinions now. Fascinating. Jake filled me in on the chaos unfolding at the old apartment. Sophia had returned Wednesday night in full meltdown mode, with Blake in tow because of course she did. They'd spent hours hauling her belongings around the parking lot, trying to figure out their next move while she screamed into her phone about how I'd stolen the apartment. But here's where it got interesting. Jake overheard Blake on his own phone call, arguing with someone named Destiny. Apparently, Destiny was Blake's current girlfriend, a detail that hadn't made it into Sophia's spiritual journey narrative. The retreat had lasted exactly 5 days before Blake got served with relationship consequences of his own and had to flee back to Los Angeles to deal with his imploding love life. Thursday morning my phone rang. Sophia's mom, Patricia. "How could you do this to my daughter?" "Hello to you too, Patricia." "She's homeless, Everest." "Homeless? She's not homeless. Her stuff is safe, she has 3 weeks to figure out housing, and that's more notice than most people get when they cheat. You're being cruel because you're jealous of her connection with Blake." I almost laughed. "Patricia, your daughter went on what amounts to a couple's retreat with her ex-boyfriend. Alone. For 2 weeks. It was not a couple's retreat. It was about finding inner peace. With her ex-boyfriend. Alone. For 2 weeks. Silence. She said you were okay with it. I was so okay with it that I decided to find my own inner peace. Elsewhere. You're a pathetic little man." Okay. Bye, Patricia. That evening brought peak entertainment. I got notifications that someone was trying to reset my streaming passwords. Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, even my Spotify Premium. She was trying to access my accounts from whatever Motel 6 she was crashing at. I changed all the passwords to variations of Find Your Own Netflix, Get Your Own Hulu, and Spiritual Journey Needs Own Spotify. An hour later, I got a text from an unknown number. "Sophia wants to know why you're being so petty about the streaming services. She's having a panic attack." A panic attack? Over Netflix access. I responded, "Tell her meditation might help." Friday brought a new level of audacity that even I couldn't have predicted. Sophia ambushed me at Gold's Gym in Studio City. She didn't have a membership, she considered traditional gyms spiritually toxic. But she waited in the parking lot for 2 hours like some kind of wellness stalker. "We need to talk," she announced as I walked to my truck. I kept walking. "No, we don't. You can't just ignore me. We were together for 3 years. 8 months, I corrected, unlocking my F-150. The emotional connection was 3 years. What does that even mean? I turned to look at her. She looked rough. Her usually perfect bohemian waves were greasy, her designer athleisure was wrinkled, and her chakra seemed decidedly unaligned. "Look, I get it," she continued, grabbing my arm with the desperation of someone whose Wi-Fi just cut out during a Zoom call. "You heard about Blake and me, but nothing happened. We just meditated together. Did partner yoga. Shared our deepest fears under the stars. Sounds magical. Stop being sarcastic. This is serious. I need a place to live. So get one. I can't afford anything decent. You know I'm between careers right now." Between careers. That's what she called being unemployed for 6 months while working on her jewelry business that had sold exactly 2 macrame bracelets on Etsy. "That's not my problem anymore, Sophia." Then she pulled out the manipulation playbook. "If you ever loved me, you'll help me through this transition." I did love you. Then you went on a romantic vacation with your ex. It wasn't romantic. That's when Blake pulled up in his beat-up Honda Civic, because of course he was lurking nearby like a hemp-wearing guardian angel. He got out trying to look intimidating in his man bun and crystal necklace. "Yo man, can we talk?" "No." "Look, bro." Blake stepped closer, radiating the kind of aggressive spirituality that made me want to eat a cheeseburger just to spite the universe. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Sophia needs stability right now. Then maybe you should provide it, bro? His face turned red underneath his carefully maintained stubble. I'm trying to help here. She's a beautiful soul going through a transition. A transition that lasted 5 days before you both bailed on enlightenment? You don't understand what we have, Blake said, puffing out his chest like a peacock in yoga pants. I actually laughed. Clearly neither do you, since you're not living together. That's when Sophia's face went ghost white. Turns out she'd been telling everyone, including her mom, that Blake had offered to let her move in with him after their spiritual awakening. But Blake was currently crashing on his buddy's couch because Destiny had kicked him out of their Santa Monica apartment. The look they exchanged could have powered a small wind farm. I got in my truck and left them to figure out their cosmic confusion in the Gold's Gym parking lot. Saturday morning brought a full-scale assault on my sanity. Somehow, and I suspect Instagram stalking was involved, Sophia had discovered my new Studio City address. She showed up with a U-Haul and what looked like her own personal army. Her mom Patricia, her sister Quinn, Blake, and some girl I didn't recognize who radiated the kind of energy that probably believed in flat earth theories. They were moving her stuff out of the Sherman Oaks apartment, but apparently decided to make a pit stop to harass me into submission. Patricia rang my doorbell for 5 straight minutes while I watched through my Ring camera. When I finally answered through the intercom, she launched into a speech that would have made a televangelist proud. You need to man up and take responsibility for this situation. I did. I moved out. That's not taking responsibility. That's running away from your problems. Quinn jumped in from the porch. You're destroying her life over your wounded ego. Her life isn't destroyed. She's just experiencing consequences. The unknown girl, who I later learned was Piper, Sophia's business partner in the failed jewelry venture, tried a different approach. Don't you think you're being a bit harsh? Like, energetically speaking, this is creating really negative karma. You know what else creates negative karma? Going on vacation with your ex-boyfriend. That's when Blake, genius that he is, tried to test my door handle on camera. Dude, I'm calling the cops if you don't get off my property. He backed away faster than a tourist leaving Skid Row. Sophia finally spoke up and she was crying. Not sad crying, but the angry kind that happens when entitled people meet reality for the first time. I gave you everything, Everest. I brought joy to your sterile apartment. I cooked for you. I made you a better person. You decorated with my money, cooked exactly twice in 8 months, and I'm the same person I always was. You're being vindictive. I'm being gone. There's a difference. They finally retreated after I mentioned documenting everything for a potential restraining order. But the circus wasn't over. That night at 10 p.m., I got an email with the subject line, business proposal. I kid you not, she sent me an actual business proposal. She wanted me to invest in Cosmic Creations jewelry in exchange for 10% equity. The investment amount? Exactly 3 months' rent at the Sherman Oaks apartment. The business plan was 2 sentences. Cosmic Creations will revolutionize mindful jewelry by infusing each piece with intentional energy. With your investment, I can focus on creation without housing stress. I forwarded it to my buddy Tony, who works in venture capital in Beverly Hills. His response, is she on drugs? Monday morning brought the explosion that made Chernobyl look like a sparkler malfunction. I woke up to my LinkedIn blowing up like a Kardashian scandal. Sophia had messaged every single one of my professional connections with this gem. Hi. I'm raising funds for my spiritual jewelry business and noticed you're connected with my ex-partner Everest. Despite our personal situation, I believe in keeping business separate. Would you be interested in supporting cosmic consciousness through wearable art? She really pitched her failed bracelet business to my boss at the marketing firm, my biggest client, a Fortune 500 company, my old professors from UCLA, and that random recruiter I'd connected with 3 years ago and forgotten about. My boss texted, your ex-girlfriend is interesting. Is she okay? My biggest client called, I think your girlfriend needs professional help. The UCLA professor emailed, is this performance art or a mental health crisis? But she wasn't done torching my reputation. Sophia had created a GoFundMe titled, Help a Spiritual Entrepreneur Escape Financial Abuse. The description was a masterpiece of creative writing. After years of financial control and emotional manipulation, I'm trying to rebuild my life and business. My ex-partner abandoned me during a mental health crisis and is now blocking my access to basic necessities. I'm not asking for charity, I'm asking for investment in a conscious business that will heal the world through jewelry infused with positive energy. Goal, $25,000 raised, $47 all from her mom's various Facebook accounts. Wednesday was court day. Yes, we actually ended up in court. Sophia had filed a civil claim saying I owed her compensation for domestic partnership dissolution and emotional investment damages. She represented herself, obviously, and actually told Judge Henderson, "Your Honor, I invested 3 years of emotional labor into this relationship. I deserve compensation for my contributions to his personal growth and apartment aesthetic." The judge looked at her filing like she was reading Sanskrit. "Ma'am, you lived together for 8 months. You were on vacation with another man when he moved out. What exactly are you claiming? Spiritual partnership damages and intentional infliction of abandonment." The case was dismissed in under 5 minutes. Outside the courthouse, Sophia had arranged for Piper to film her giving a speech about the systematic oppression of spiritual women in patriarchal society. The video has 23 views on TikTok, mostly from Patricia's burner accounts. Thursday morning brought the final boss battle, and it was beautiful in its stupidity. The landlord at Sherman Oaks called me, sounding like he'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. "Your ex-girlfriend is trying to squat in the apartment." "What?" "She changed the locks and claims she has tenant rights. I'm having to start eviction proceedings." She changed the locks on an apartment she wasn't even on the lease for, and printed a fake lease agreement off the internet, with her own name spelled wrong. But here's where my earlier kindness came back to bite me in the most satisfying way. Remember how I'd left the utilities on to be nice? Well, they were still in my name and I was still paying for them. Thursday afternoon, I called Edison and had the power shut off. Legally, it was my service to cancel. Within an hour, my phone rang. Unknown number, but I answered. "Turn the power back on right now." It was Quinn. "Who is this?" "You know exactly who this is. Sophia's in there running her business and you cut the electricity. Then she should probably leave a place she doesn't legally occupy. She's not squatting. She's establishing residency through adverse possession. That's literally the definition of squatting." Quinn hung up. Friday morning, the landlord called with the finale. "Police removed her this morning. She tried to claim you were her landlord and had been collecting rent from her, but couldn't provide any proof because, well, it never happened." "Is she okay?" "She screamed something about mercury being in microwave and tried to sage the officers. They were very patient. I think she meant Mercury in retrograde, but honestly, Mercury being in microwave is much funnier." 2 weeks later. It's been 2 weeks since Officer Rodriguez escorted Sophia out of the Sherman Oaks apartment with her crystals and wounded dignity intact. Here's where everyone landed. Sophia moved back in with Patricia in Calabasas, not with Quinn, who blocked her after the utility incident, and definitely not with Blake, who vanished like morning mist when things got complicated. According to Jake, who spotted her at a Starbucks in Woodland Hills, she's telling people she's taking a sabbatical from capitalism, and living with her parents is a radical act of resistance against societal expectations. Her Instagram bio now reads, "Survivor, entrepreneur, cosmic warrior, rising from the ashes." She has 94 followers, down from 847. Blake resurfaced on social media with Destiny, posting couple photos with captions about working through challenges with authentic communication. Based on their passive-aggressive comment exchanges, they're making each other miserable in that specifically modern way that requires Wi-Fi. Last week, I ran into Blake at a dive bar in North Hollywood. He was drunk and tried to bro-hug me. "Dude, I'm sorry about everything. Sophia's actually insane. She tried to get me to invest in her business too, wanted me to be a conscious capital partner, or something." I was like, "Girl, I deliver food for DoorDash." He delivers food for DoorDash. The spiritual guru who was going to help her find herself delivers Thai food in a Honda Civic with 200,000 miles on it. "For real though," he continued, "she kept trying to make the retreat weird. Wanted to do tantric breathing exercises and soul-gazing meditation. I just wanted to eat edibles and look at red rocks, you know? Beautiful." The whole self-discovery trip was just Blake wanting to get high in Arizona while Sophia tried to seduce him back into a relationship that ended badly in college. This morning, Sophia posted a major announcement on her business Instagram. "Cosmic Creations is evolving. Soon I'll be offering essential oil blends infused with crystal energy to complement my jewelry line. The oils are repackaged stuff from Dollar Tree." Piper accidentally revealed this in the comments before deleting it. Someone asked if the oils were FDA approved. Sophia's response, "I don't subscribe to governmental oversight of natural healing modalities." Patricia was the only one who liked the post. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. She once tried to pay rent with a check from her future abundant self. She insisted her sister's cat was their grandmother reincarnated. She tried to add herself to my health insurance as a spiritual life partner. She once got mad at me for dream cheating. Apparently I'd flirted with someone in her dream. But it ended exactly how it needed to. She discovered herself, all right. Discovered she's someone who thought she could have her chakras aligned and her rent paid by different guys simultaneously. And me? I discovered that self-respect isn't vindictive, it's necessary. I also discovered my new apartment has amazing water pressure and nobody here tries to charge crystals in the microwave at 3 a.m. I'm dating someone new now, Melissa, who lives in my building and thinks the whole story is hilarious. Last night she suggested we take a self-discovery trip, and then burst out laughing. But seriously, she said, want to go to San Francisco next month? Just us. No exes. To everyone saying I should have worked things out, I did. My response was moving out. Sometimes the best conversation is the one you don't have. To those saying I was too harsh, she took a 2-week vacation with her ex-boyfriend and expected me to fund her lifestyle afterward. The bar was underground and she brought industrial mining equipment. And to Sophia, since I know you're reading this on one of Patricia's accounts, the retreat center in Sedona called. They want their meditation cushion back, the one you apparently borrowed. They're threatening to involve collections. Good luck with your cosmic consciousness. You're going to need it for small claims court. Peace out.